There is one strange thing I've realised about some true crime cases. When a group of friends get together and unite in their dislike or hatred towards someone, things can get very out of control very quickly, and can even become extremely violent. Before I start, a quick 30 seconds to thank today's sponsor, Wicked Clothes. Without their help, I wouldn't be able to make as many videos as I do, so to say thank you to them, click the link in the description to check out their website. Wicked Clothes are one of my absolute favourite companies, and they have a great selection of designs with plenty of t-shirts, hoodies, sweatshirts, dog collars, and there's something for everyone. With Halloween quickly approaching, make sure you treat yourself to some festive designs. They have recently released these really cool ladies' underwear designs. And if you're a true crime fan, which I'm guessing you are, these are my two favourite designs. The True Crime Club and the Serial Killer Docs and Chill. So check them out by clicking the link in the description, and if you see anything you like, you can get 10% off by using the coupon code DISTURBAN and free delivery for orders over $75. And now, onto the video. Seth Jackson was a 15-year-old teenage boy who lived in Summerfield, Florida. He was described as an outgoing, popular young man. In 2010, Seth started dating a 15-year-old girl named Amber Wright. They were in a relationship for around 3 months. At first, the pair got along nicely, but because they were both young and immature, they would often attempt to make each other jealous. They both had sex, smoked marijuana, and took cocaine, which didn't help the situation. Seth's parents weren't too keen on his decision to date Amber. They were concerned, as they said she would often display manipulative behaviour. Then Amber and Seth's relationship came to an end. Seth found out that Amber had cheated on him with an 18-year-old named Michael Bargo. Seth was hurt and angry. His pride had been damaged. So, to get even, he challenged Michael to a fight, to which Michael accepted. Seth was 3 years younger than Michael, but remarkably, Seth managed to come out on top. The brawl wouldn't be the end of it though, far from it. A toxic social media dispute erupted, with each of them making claims and insulting each other. Then Amber and Michael began a relationship. Amber told Michael that Seth was abusive to her, and because Seth and Amber were in conflict, her 16-year-old stepbrother named Kyle Hooper became involved too. Kyle was in a relationship with a girl named Elisa, and his hatred towards Seth grew even more when he found out that Elisa and Seth had slept together. On April the 17th, 2011, Amber sent a text message to Seth. She said that she wanted to work things out and get back together, but that she wanted to talk about this in person. Seth was a little skeptical of this meeting and believed that something was a little off. He wondered if this was some kind of setup, but he did want to meet her. He sent a message to Amber telling her that if anything happens to him, if he is jumped or harmed in any way, that he will never forgive her. Amber assured him that nothing of the sort would happen, and pushed him further to come and meet her. Seth agreed, and he sent a message saying that he was on his way and was walking towards the agreed meeting place. The meeting place was the trailer of Amber's 18-year-old female friend named Charlie Ellie. Seth's hunch about this being a setup was correct. He was walking towards a trap. Inside the home was Amber, Michael, Kyle, Charlie, and a 20-year-old named Justin Solo. They were waiting and hiding to ambush him. Seth was greeted and entered through the front door. He walked into the living room and sat down on a chair. Kyle then emerged from a hiding spot and beat Seth over the head with a wooden blunt object. Justin and Michael then joined in the beating of Seth. Seth was completely outnumbered, and the Cowardly Five had the element of surprise against him too. He didn't stand a chance. Michael then pulled out a gun and fired a shot into Seth. The bullet didn't kill him. Terrified, Seth fled towards the kitchen and ran out of the front door of the home. He managed to get outside and was heading towards the road, but Justin followed him and tackled him to the ground, where Michael shot him again. Michael and Justin continued to beat Seath as he lay on the ground. Michael then ordered Kyle to join in. The three of them then dragged Seath into the home and put him in the bathtub. In a sick and twisted plan, Michael wanted to keep Seath alive after the attack, so he could savor Seth's fear and be the one to kill him. He wanted Seath to know exactly who killed him. Michael stayed in the bathroom with Seath and continued to beat him and fire more bullets into him. He then fired 2 final bullets into Seth's face, ending his life. The group now had to dispose of his body. They shattered and broke Seth's kneecaps so they could roll him up and place his body into a sleeping bag. The body was then taken to a fire pit and set alight. The 5 of them sat around the fire. They partied and celebrated and watched the flames consume the sleeping bag with Seth's body inside. However, because the body had not burnt completely, Michael grabbed some pliers and picked up Seth's charred skull and began pulling the remaining teeth out of the skull one by one. On the morning of the 18th of April, a 39-year-old man named James Havens arrived and helped the gang dispose of Seth's remains. James had been with the gang the night before. He was the father figure to Amber and Kyle. He was their stepfather, but had recently broken up with their mother, but he still spent time with them. The 6 now began cleaning the crime scene with bleach. All that was left of Seath was just ash and bone fragments. They shoveled his remains into paint cans and sealed them. James then drove them to a remote-filled rock quarry and tied the buckets to cinder blocks and threw them down. When Seath didn't come home that night, his parents knew that something was wrong. Seath would always call his parents to let them know if he was staying out. So when he was nowhere to be seen and they couldn't get hold of him, his mother made a call to the police to report him missing. When returning from the quarry to dump Seth's remains, the group had learned that the police were in the neighbourhood investigating Seth's disappearance. Michael borrowed some money from Kyle and left town, knowing that the police would soon discover what had happened. He got a lift from James and went to visit an out-of-town girlfriend. The next day, the disappearance of Seath was on the news, and while Kyle and his mother were watching, Kyle came clean and admitted to his mother that he knew what had happened to Seath and why he was missing. He told her that Seath was dead and that he and Amber were some of the people responsible. Their mother turned them in and an investigation was soon underway. Kyle and Amber went into the station to be questioned, and they gave a few different versions of events, trying to blame others for what happened. But Amber showed a genuine lack of accountability, and only seemed to care that she was going to be punished. She made a remark that she wouldn't be out of prison till she was 20, a little optimistic. She showed no signs of remorse for luring Seath to his brutal death. Kyle, Amber, Charlie, and Justin all pointed the finger at each other, but mainly, they blamed Michael for the murder. Amber tried to convince the investigators that Michael had been the one to manipulate her into luring Seath to the house, but they could tell by her behaviour that she was cold, calculated, and manipulative. Michael had tried to hide away and lay low after the murder, but he confessed to what he did to the out-of-town girlfriend, her brother, her father, her father's girlfriend, and the father's neighbour. He was arrested on the 19th of April, and just before he was taken into custody, he destroyed his mobile phone. After questioning the 5 suspects and the adult who had been an accomplice in the crime, the police managed to piece together what had happened that night. While the 6 of them were all together, Michael said, "We need to kill Seth Jackson. Nobody likes him. We need to kill him." After contemplating, everyone agreed, apart from James, that they should take Seth's life, and they began to devise a plan of action. James claimed that he did not want to be around for any of this, so he left. And despite being nearly 40 years old, he didn't tell anyone about this plan to kill Seth. And it should also be known that Kyle had also confided in someone previously that he wanted Seth dead after discovering that his girlfriend had slept with him. Text messages between Amber and Seth proved that her role was to lure him into a trap to ambush him. She texted Seth asking him to meet up at Charlie's home under the false hope of getting back together and sorting things out. And she eased his worries about being attacked, telling him that it would just be the 2 of them. Charlie, Kyle, and Justin were tasked with ambushing Seth at Charlie's house. Upon arrival, Seth was struck in the head and shot repeatedly. Michael was going to be the one to finish him off. When Seth had been killed, Michael called James in the middle of the night and told him that the deed is done. James tried to tell the investigators that he had no idea what Michael meant by this, and when he went to go and clean up the ashes, he claimed he had no idea what the ashes were, a very blatant and obvious lie. The day after the murder had taken place, Amber, Michael, Charlie, Kyle, James, and Justin dumped Seth's charred remains into 3 5-gallon paint buckets and loaded them onto James's truck. They carried him to a local rock quarry and disposed of the tins into the water. 2 days later, each of the 6 suspects were arrested. Police searched Michael's room in his grandmother's home. Inside, they found a Heritage gun box and a spent .22 caliber cartridge, and in Charlie's home, they found a loaded .22 caliber Heritage revolver and 2 boxes of live ammunition hidden inside a floor vent. In Charlie's yard, the police found dried paint on the ground, a rake with dried paint on the tines, drag marks, a pressure washer, and a fire pit which seemed to have fragmented and charred bones inside. The quarry was also searched, and inside they found a 5-gallon bucket with a plastic bag floating in the water. A dive team then went deeper and found 2 more buckets attached to cinder blocks underwater. Although some of them were juveniles, they were all tried as adults due to the horrific and brutal nature of the crime. Amber Wright, Kyle Hooper, Justin Soto, and Charlie were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Charlie's sentence was later reduced and she was released in 2020. James Haven received a 10-year prison sentence for being an accessory to murder. Michael Bago was found guilty and sentenced to death. Investigators believe that he was the main perpetrator, and of course, he was the one to fire the bullets into Seth's face. Amber will serve her sentence, and after 25 years, she will be subject to review. Although Michael was the one who took Seth's life, there is something so chilling in what Amber did. To knowingly lure someone to their death certainly takes a person with a cold heart. During the trial, the prosecutors made sure to hammer in the point that if Amber had not sent those messages and convinced Cal to meet her, then he would still be alive. He would not have met Michael or Kyle or any of the others alone. And for those reasons, I truly hope she stays behind bars and is unable to manipulate anyone else in the future.